Welcome to the Fire Circle, interviews with the modern granny woman in your life. My name is Ellis Elliott, and I write a series of cozy mysteries based on a lineage of Appalachian granny women, or witches, as they were sometimes called. So, what is a granny woman? Well, let me tell you, back in the pre-Civil War days in the isolated community mountains of East Tennessee, there were certain women that took on the combined role of healer, midwife, and preparing the dead for burial. These were the granny women, or witches. While these women were depended upon by their communities in these important situations, they were often seen as outsiders because of their esoteric knowledge and by the fact that they did not follow the prescribed role of women at all for that time. In other words, they were often seen as peculiar. There are many modern day granny witches, and they might not even be a granny or a witch. Probably neither. But there's someone who, when you think of them, conjures up a vivid memory and who cast a spell, if you will, on the person you are today. These are the folks we're to meet in our Fire Circle interviews. And I am so excited to have one of my very favorite people in the whole world, Noble Lockhart-Mays.
Hello, Miss Ellis Elliott. I am so excited. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have to jump right in and have you tell us what you do and whatever else you want to tell us about yourself, and then tell us who your granny woman is, and we'll jump into that.
But my name is Noble Lockhart-Mays. I have the privilege of serving as director of this place, Faith's Place Center for Arts Education, which I founded about 12 years ago now. And so here we have a preschool to give our students in this inner city the building blocks to learning, giving them a head start. In the inner city, as you know, much unlike their counterparts, they get the exposure to academia well in advance. And so a lot of our students in the inner city, and it goes cross-culturally now, not just specifically on an ethnicity, but multiple ethnicities. They are not exposed to academic preparation as their counterparts are. So it was my duty to develop a stellar preschool program here for our students in the inner city. My grandma is the late Bishop Helen M. Lewis. And she was born in Waycross, Georgia.
So if you give me like a snapshot in time, whether you're a child with her, can you describe what that picture would look like? Or is she cooking? Is she at church with you? What's she wearing?
Oh my goodness. My grandmother, oh my gosh, I don't want to cry.
It's okay.
My grandmother, oh, she was so many things to so many people, but for me specifically, she, by the time I can recollect, she had one of the people, our church is all over, right? And she was the chief overseer. So she was the head bishop. And that's
Okay.
crazy. A Black woman being head bishop during that time. She was born in 1900. My grandma was born in 1903. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
She was born in 1903 because my aunt, her firstborn, was born in 1925. So I just remember that. She was 96 years old when she passed. And like I said, I was a junior in college. So
Right. Right.
it
And
was, go ahead.
so she was kind of ahead of her time,
Yeah.
certainly, by being a woman in that role in the church, right?
Yes. Absolutely, because women were supposed to be seen and not heard,
Yes.
especially in the Black church. Go sit down somewhere.
Ah,
Women's
interesting.
lib didn't look like women's lib for us, not until some years later, that movement. We were still made to raise the children, sit down. Your
Right.
husband is speaking. So for her to do that, and that was something she inherited from her husband, because her husband's mother founded the church, in
Okay.
the early 1900s. So my grandmother met and married Mr. Ben Matchett. She was in love, and that her first child was born. And then he died.
Oh,
Right? And then here comes the evangelists coming through. They will have revivals, tent
yeah.
revivals.
Yeah.
And that was my grandfather, my mother's father. And he met her, and he had been married before, and he had children, but those wives were still alive. And he was divorced. Um, and so he met my grandmother, beautiful lady, and she had the one child. She's a widow, and he married her, and they moved. They moved to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. That's where my mom was born, and that's where the church's headquarters was. And so there was a great split in our church
Okay.
after the founder passed away, which was my grandfather's mom. And as you can imagine, those older saints didn't want to be a part of her son, uh,
Right.
being the head bishop. So, because he was younger than them, and so they went to church, to court, and it was a great church split. And so you have the different dominions: the Keith Dominion, Lewis Dominion, and White Dominion. And they couldn't use our church name. Ours is the Church of the Living God, the Pillar and Ground of the Truth Incorporated. And they had to do a derivative of it. So the House of God, which is the Church of the Living God. And then
Okay.
there's one House of God, which is the Church of the Living God, which Jesus purchased with his own blood. So like different derivatives of the name, which came from the Bible. So my grandmother just taught us how to love God, love ourselves, and love others. And it would be, the house was never asleep. Always grandchildren running around, always going to eat. And she had an assistant that came to live with her, and she would make these biscuits. And the
Biscuit.
assistant was from Mississippi. And
Oh,
so grandmother would give her the recipe. She would knead it, and she would get it just right. And every time we came to grandma's house, there would be a cake in the cake. What do you call that? The cake.
yeah, the cake holder thing.
Yes.
That's
And
the name of it.
I would be so happy to go to grandma's house, because I knew she had given, we called her Sister Mary. She had given Sister Mary her recipe, and Sister Mary would have a cake for you. Okay. And she would want, there's a lot of grandchildren. So we would get this slither of a piece. But when I say it tasted like it was, oh, the best, and I would eat mine slow. Everybody else would be like, okay, I'm done. And cake, hanging out. We would go on the front porch and go eat it with a glass of milk. And
Yes.
it was just so soothing. Sometimes grandma would come before she was bedridden. She would sit on the front porch with us in a
Oh,
chair. You would just feel the breeze. So there were pillars, and it would come. It reminded me of a house like in the South. I mean, we're
yeah.
the southern part of the country, but it's
Right.
still not representing the deep South.
Right.
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 We don't have porches like that
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah, so it would breeze through and then come, and we would just be sitting
Oh,
down, and grandma would be humming songs, and mm, mm, and I would just love, because I was a singer. So my musical ear would be like, perk, 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 listen. And I would try to sing it with her, because my mama taught me to harmonize. You ever met Joe Jackson? Well, my
mm-mm.
mama was his sister or something. She would make sure I stayed in the mirror, and you would have to stand poised, and all this would happen at grandma's house. She'd take me upstairs, and maybe then I'm looking out the window, all the children outside playing in the backyard. And I'm
And
up
you're
there learning
married.
how to, yeah, I'm in the mirror telling, I'm going through, I'm going through. I'm 8, singing like a Negro spiritual. Ah, like that. And my mom would just be like, no, no, no. And I'm like, is that better? Can I go outside and play now?
Wow.
And grandma would be like, Gloria, you'll hear her calling because by that time she was bedridden.
Yeah.
Gloria, Gloria, like that. So she called you 3 times and you didn't answer. Oh, that's your hide. So even her children, even her grown children, because my mama had me at 33. At that time, I was 8. And so she was in her 40s.
Yeah.
And she said, Gloria, let that girl alone. Let her go outside and play. Let her
Uh-huh.
alone. And I just remember her being my fierce protector. Like
Yeah.
she understood the importance of allowing this child to be a child. And
Right.
I knew as soon as she said, Gloria, oh, Gloria, Gloria. And I thought it was so
That you would get to go outside.
and that she would call her like that. It was different tones. And in my musical ear, I would hear it.
Yeah.
Gloria, oh, Gloria, Gloria, And my
Yeah.
mom, my mom would say, yes, mama. She said, let that girl alone. Like leave her alone. Go out and let her play. Go outside, Noble Jewel. Not go outside. I loved my grandmama for that. But she always taught us to love God and her children and oh my goodness. And we would go to church every Sunday early in the morning. And then we would go to that Sunday Bible school, then we'll go to the store, get us a little snack, come back to church and be there till 4 p.m. I kid you not. Go home, eat dinner, come back for 7:30 p.m. service.
Oh my goodness.
All day. So we had Friday night service. I guess so you wouldn't go out and sin. I don't know. But Friday night service, Saturday they left us alone unless it was a concert, singing at the church. And then Sunday all day long.
Wow. And
Yeah,
um would she, as her job as bishop, would she be doing church work when she before she got older?
absolutely. It was always church work. She had an office in her house that was just
Okay.
dedicated to church work. And so Sister Mary was her secretary, and she would get all the publications out to the various bands, which were the different church locations. We called them bands, and make sure she had all the Sunday Bible school books for everybody, the series that we would use. Sometimes she would contribute to that, but she would have whatever series we were using. And she did all this. She didn't go to college.
Uh-uh.
She didn't. My work ethic I get from God, I believe. And my daddy, the sun up, you up mentality, the Caribbean man, and definitely my grandmother. Oh my gosh. Just watching her. She had this poem
Mm.
hanging in her office, and it said, Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. And she said, Noble, I want you to remember that. Go
Mm.
placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there is in silence.
Oh
That
man, boy.
spoke so much to me. And she wanted me to learn the whole poem, but I was a child and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and
Boy, do we need that right now, don't we? In the
oh my gosh. And she was quiet, you know,
mm.
but she, like, if she spoke, it fell soft on your heart, like you knew to listen. Until I was in middle school, I was having surgeries, I was homeschooled because of the surgeries, because of the recovery was so massive, I just stayed out and I
Yeah.
did homeschool. And I would go to grandma's house and just go crawl into bed with her. Under it. I get a good book if I want to read it, because sometimes the sun is just coming
Yeah.
down. And I just I don't want to read nothing. I just want to just listen. And lately, there have been a couple of my students coming out finding me a needle in a haystack. Talking
Oh
about,
my
Miss
God.
Mays. Like they've seen a celebrity because they've seen me out of the confounds of Faith Place.
Oh
Like
no.
I'm not a human being. And I can't lounge, you know. So
Right, right.
my
Oh,
grandmother thought she used to love the beach. You know, by the time I could remember, she was confounded to the house, and there was a hospital bed in there, and
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, she would encourage us to go. And my brother George, I mean, he loved my grandmother. We all did, but no one bothered him. When he went and stood over her casket, he and his wife, and they had small children. I never saw my brother cry ever in my life. Like I said, I was a junior. So what was I, 20, 21?
Yeah.
And he stood there and he sobbed.
Mm.
Now I tried to stand there and sob. Everybody said, move along, no. But for my brother George, and I was offended, but then I thought, okay. My brother George, just they gave because they knew because everybody was a brighter complexion, but my brother George was the dark grandbaby, and she said, "Bring me my chocolate grandbaby,"
Oh.
you know. And in this beautiful picture of them, my brother was sitting on my mama's lap. It was her, and they called their dad Papa.
Mhm.
It was Mama and Papa, and George Jr. sat on my lap. That's what my mama says, and she said, "But get my chocolate grandbaby in here," you know. And in the African American community, dark skin can have a negative connotation. They
Mm.
call names and stuff like that. But she gave it a term of endearment, chocolate. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
he loved my grandmother. We all did. Like I said, she made us all feel like we were. She would do stuff like I would come in the house and she would give me something that like a can, slip me a piece of candy and be like, you know, because my mom be like, now mama, you don't know, nobody don't need no more candy, and she give it to me. I get that candy and run up them stairs.
Yeah.
She's so into her lineage, and with hopes to show us all the way.
Right. A wisdom there.
Wisdom.
We don't see that all the time or much at all, I think. The
Right.
foresight to do that for her family. Mm.
Mhm. So she was a remarkable woman, remarkable. Just she was in the Palm Beach Post. That picture was in the Palm Beach Post, and they did a story, and she was looking outside the window, and that's where that picture comes from. I'm trying to find that, but
And what was the article about?
Black church leaders in Palm Beach County.
Uh, well, yeah. If you
Yeah,
find that, you send it to me and I'll,
absolutely. I will definitely.
yeah,
Let me see if my cousin.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Do you
did that.
have her anything from her like her that she wrote on or recipe or anything that you
Okay, so there is this. Oh man, I should have brought this. I'm so sorry.
that's okay. You can
There's the Virgin Mary that someone made of clay.
ah,
Always admired it. She had it up, overlooking as you came up the stairwell. And I said, Grandma, I really love uh this Virgin Mary. And she said, You do? You do, Noble Jewel? I said, Yes, ma'am. She said, Well, you write your name on it and put given to Noble Jewel. Put today's date and I'll sign it. That same Virgin Mary overlooks my house.
ah,
Have it in the kitchen, and it overlooks all the downstairs area. And
she's watching you.
yeah, my cousin took it. I
Oh
just
no.
glad
No.
I heard that she took it.
No.
She didn't know. She didn't know.
Okay.
You know, when people pass, people start grabbing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not her fault. I love my
Yeah.
cousin. I love my cousin. It's not her fault. But I called and I said, you know, so and so, you know, aunt so and so told me you had this. She's like, yes, I have it. And I said, well, can I just get that back? And because it said given to, I
I
did
was
what
gonna
she told me.
say, you
I did
got
what she told me. She
once
knew.
again, she knew. She knew.
Given to Noble Jewel, so and so in 1996. That was my senior year.
Mm. Wow. And she continues to guide you to this day.
Yeah. Her strength, her spirit. That is what I have.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have. And like just to serve, you know, for in my faith. I'm doing it for the kingdom of heaven, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a sounds like
serving and like serving these students here. That means a lot to me because it's how my grandma served. She would serve
she
the
would
flock.
serve. And just like they would come to her parlor or living or whatever, the front room, your students come to your front room, so to speak.
Yeah, they'll find me whenever in
Of
this
your
building,
facility, right? Not
and
your
I will stop doing
home.
what I'm doing. And sometimes it's in the form of a phone call, you know, or
Right.
someone who hasn't seen me in years and they stop me in the mall. Can you pray with me? Can you, you know, I tell them, yeah, sure, let's go. I'll
Oh
pray.
my God. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. I
I
needed to talk about this. I didn't know I needed to.
I know. I love, the book has this lineage of these granny women like we've talked about that are the they were the midwives, they
Mm,
prepared the dead for burial, and they used the world, the nature, herbal healers used what
yeah,
they had around them. So they gave, of themselves, and they were not necessarily viewed as taking on a traditional role, uh, because the rest of the women did not look or act or do the things that these granny women did. So it's so interesting how, her background and the way she led her life with that in those leadership roles, um, mimics it's like the modern day, the same thing, but
right.
just the modern day version. But well, thank you so much for telling us
You're
all
welcome
about
so
that.
much.
And I'm
Thank
going,
you. I can't wait to read your book.
oh my gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.